Please welcome our very own Mr. Maulik Parekh.
Thank you, Heidi, and good afternoon. First of all, I will take a moment and recognize the CCAP Board of Trustees and the CCAP Secretariat for doing an amazing job setting up these highly relevant, highly informative events for the industry. For most of them, this is a voluntary, thankless job, and they do it out of their love and passion for the industry and the country. Let's give a big round of applause to Giorgio and the rest of the CCAP Board of Trustees. Now, Giorgio did not tell me that there is no payment for this speech. So that's something I'll have to pick it up with you later on. So hashtag, it's your time to shine. Now, I have to tell you this, there is absolutely no need for the hashtag in the title. I just inserted it in my pathetic attempt trying to be a millennial Mumbai. Just trying to fit in with this millennial crowd here. But joking aside, I truly believe that it is truly your time to shine. Over the next 45 minutes, what I would like to do is share with you why I am so excited, why I am so bullish about your future in the industry, and also leave you with 3 secrets that will help you make the most of your promising future ahead. Now, I came to the Philippines for the first time in March of 2001. I was working for an American company at that time, and I was trying to set up its first call center operations here in the country. And since then, having worked here in this country for the last 2 decades, I often find myself amazed as to how the industry has grown and transformed. I still remember, and I was just talking to George about it, back in 2001, we only had a few thousand employees working at just a very handful of companies. Today, as you may know, I'm talking about the BPO industry, we have 1.3 million people working in this industry at 851 companies. This is the entire BPO industry. But what fascinates me about this industry is not the growth in numbers, but the growth in people, the growth in the Filipino leaders that I have witnessed over the years. If you get to know the stories of any Filipino or Filipina leader who is either the country head or a CEO or the president or the global head of operations of any of the BPO companies in the country, you will soon realize that almost all of them started their career as an agent, as a team leader, as a manager. They were in your shoes just 15 years ago. They were also managing 10, 20, 100 people. Today, they are inspiring and leading 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 people. They have all gone through 5 or 6 promotions in the last 15 years. And most importantly, all of them have increased their income by at least 10 times than what they were making as a team leader. Some of these people are with us today, and we should quickly recognize them. If I can have Jojo and Tanishi and Alpha and Romel and the rest of the leaders stand up, please, and be recognized. Now, enough about them and what they have achieved over the years. This event is about you guys and what you can accomplish over the next 15 years. Imagine for a second, this is year 2035, some 15 years from now. You have the potential to rise to the top. You have the potential to get promoted 5 or 6 times between now and then. You have the potential to increase your income by at least 10 times than what you're making as a team leader today. How many of you are excited about having this opportunity in the industry to grow personally, professionally, and financially? Can I see some show of hands? Just because I said financially. But there's a catch. Just because you are in the industry and you're going to put 50 years of your life doesn't mean that you will rise to the top. I know a few team leaders and managers who have been team leaders and managers for the last 50 years. So what's the difference? What's the difference between the people who made it to the top and those who didn't? That's where the 3 secrets come into play. If you understand these secrets, if you reflect on them, if you follow them, if you put them to work in your life, I guarantee you, I have no doubt in my mind, that you will rise to the top, that you will unlock your full potential personally, professionally, and financially. How many of you are excited to learn more about these secrets? Can I see some show of hands? I got really excited people right in the front here. So let's start with secret number 1. Hashtag never arrive. Never arrive means being on a non-stop journey of growth and transformation. Never arrive means every destination you reach in your life becomes a stepping stone for the next destination in your life. Every mountain you climb becomes a springboard for the higher and steeper mountain ahead. Never arrive simply means you do not stop learning and growing and transforming and reinventing yourself. You know, my role model for this secret is not some popular personality from the history. My role model for this secret is my 2-year-old daughter, Clara. Now, that's not my daughter, by the way. I see some confused and perplexed looks. I'll have plenty of questions from my wife if that was the case. But Clara is my role model because she never arrives. In the last 18 months alone, I have seen her sleeping on her back all day, all night, to learning how to roll over, to learning how to crawl, to learning how to sit up, to learning how to stand up, to walk, to run, to jump, to climb. And she's not done. Now you may say, Maulik, I don't want to burst your bubble as a proud father, but all kids go through this, and that's exactly my point. That even when we were Clara's age, we were also going through that intense phase of learning and growing. And that intensity continued through our elementary school. It slowed down a little bit in middle school and high school. It slowed down even further in college and university. But by the time we got our first job, and we spent a couple of years at this job, we started telling ourselves, that, you know what? I'm done with my education. I have a job. I have a roof over my head. I have food on the table. I think I have arrived. I think I can settle down. I think I can start to chill out. But folks, the biggest differentiating factor between the people who go on to doing amazing things year after year after year and those who don't It's not that they came from the richest families. It's not that they went to the best schools in the world. It's not that they were luckier than others. The biggest differentiating factor between the people who go on to doing amazing things and those who don't is that these people never arrive. I want to give you a couple of examples. How many of you have heard of Bill Gates? Show of hands. All of you. How do you know him? Anybody in the front table here? Why is he so popular? He founded the Microsoft, that's right. He's the principal founder of Microsoft. He's 64 years old. For 19 out of the last 26 years, he has been named the richest man in the world. You would think that Bill Gates is telling himself, you know what, I'm 64, I have been the richest man in the world, I'm famous, I'm successful, I think I have arrived. I think I can slow down, I think I can chill out. No. In a recent interview, when he was asked, what's your secret for success? Bill Gates said it is his genuine curiosity about the world and his passion for learning and reading. Even now, he's 64, he's the richest man in the world, and he reads 50 books a year. That's one book every week. And he's not a casual reader. He's really into it. He has a system as to how he goes about reading his book. I want to show you a quick 2-minute video where Bill Gates is talking about his passion for learning and reading. Let's watch it.
I don't let myself start a book that I'm not going to finish. You know, when you're reading, you have to be careful that you really are concentrating, particularly if it's a non-fiction book. Are you taking the new knowledge and sort of attaching it to the knowledge you have? And for me, taking notes helps make sure that I'm really thinking hard about what's in there. If I disagree with the book, sometimes it takes a long time to read the book because I'm writing so much in the margin. It's actually kind of frustrating. Oh, please say something I agree with so I can get through to the end of this book. So there's this one, it's a fiction book called Infinite Jest, but I'm trying to decide if I start it or not because I watched the movie The End of the Tour. I loved it. David Foster Wallace comes across as a super interesting, broad thinking person. If the book was like a 200 or 300 page book, there's no doubt as soon as I watch that movie I dive in, but it's quite long and complicated, and you know, I don't want to make an exception. It's my rule to get to the end. Over time I will make the switch, but when I'm just sitting there at night reading often a paper magazine or the book, I'm used to that. And it's ridiculous because I have this whole book bag that goes on my trips with me, and it's voluminous and antiquated. If you're reading books like these, you'd want to be sitting down for an hour at a time, because otherwise just getting your mind around, okay, what was I reading? This is not the kind of thing you can do 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Magazine articles fit, or short YouTube videos fit into those little slots. And so, you know, every night I'm reading a little over an hour, and so I can take my current book and make some progress.
So folks, I'm not asking you to make Bill Gates your role model for his hairdo or his super nerdiness, but he's an excellent role model for someone who never arrives. I want to give you another example, someone who is closer to home. Does anyone know here who has been the richest person in the Philippines for the last 11 years in a row? Does anybody know? Pardon? Henry C. Sr., that's right. When he passed away earlier this year, he was 93 years old, and his net worth was $19 billion. Now, Henry C. Sr. did not become the most successful businessman in the country for the last 11 years because he came from a rich family. As you may know, he came to this country from China as a migrant boy when he was 12 years old and had 10 centavos in his pocket. Henry C. Sr. did not become the most successful businessman in the country because he went to one of the best schools in the world, like the Harvard or the Stanford. He could only afford 2-year associate degree from the Far Eastern University. Henry C. Sr. became the richest man in the Philippines and one of the most successful businessmen in the country because until his last breath, he never arrived. I want to show you a quick 2-minute video that spans his life, starting with when he opened his very first shoe store in Quiapo in 1958. Does anybody have any guess as to what he called that store? Wow, you guys are so smart. Until when he became the king of retail. Let's watch the video.
How often do you come here?
6 times a week. You know the reason why I like to see a lot of people. Number one, means business. Number two is the place. So pleasant. You can stay here, you can maybe have a coffee, and maybe enjoy the kind of atmosphere.
Yes. So it makes you happy.
And then I can also observe business, how the business progress.
What I find so inspiring about this video is that when he's 83 years old, he's already in his wheelchair, and when he was asked how often does he go to work, he said 6 times a week. Henry C. Sr. became one of the most successful businessmen in this country because he never arrived. So how can you put this secret to work in your life? I want to leave you with 3 questions that you should be asking yourself and reflecting on. Question number 1. How can you become the very best in your current job? You see, if you are in your current job here and you're ambitious and you want to go somewhere higher, you cannot do that until you have mastered your current job. So ask yourself, if you were to stack rank you as a team leader or as a manager, not only within your company, not only within the Philippine BPO industry, but in global BPO industry, how would you stack rank? How would you become the LeBron James and Serena Williams of your job, of your craft? How would you become the very best in your current job? The second question you're to ask is, what is your dream job? And the follow-up, how will you get there? What will get you there? Look around your company, look around the industry, look around the world, and ask yourself, which job profile gets your juices flowing? Which job profile gets you excited, gets you fired up? Whether it's being a director of a site, a vice president of operations, CEO, president, global head of operations, whatever that job profile is, figure out which job will get you excited. And that has become now your dream job. The follow-up question is, what will get you there? You see, the higher up you go in an organization, more inspiring you have to be as a leader. The higher up you go in an organization, more effective you have to be, not only in your interpersonal communication skills, when you're dealing with only the fellow Filipinos, but also in your intercultural communication skills, when you're dealing with people from all over the world. Higher you go, the broader the view you will need to cultivate about your business. Today, as a team leader, as a manager, most likely you're in the trenches, you're dealing with individual trees. Do you have the ability to take a step back and look at the forest? So again, very important question. What is your dream job? And ask yourself, what will get you there? Now you may say, Maulik, I know what my dream job is, but I don't know everything that I would need to do to get there. And that's where the third question comes into play. It's a very important question. Who are your role models and mentors in your life? You see, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Seek out the people who have already achieved the things that you would like to achieve in your life. Seek out the people who have already taken the journey that you would like to take in your life. Seek out the people who have already mastered the skills that you would like to master in your life. Now, there are two types of role models and mentors. The first group is made up of people in your personal network today. People that you already know. Your bosses or your boss's bosses, a teacher, a professor from your past life, a successful family member, anybody that you look up to, anybody who is wise, anybody who is willing to take you under their wings to help you make good decisions in your career. So ask yourself, in your life today, who are these people that you look up to? Who are these people who will be willing to take you under their wings and help you make the right choices in your career? The second group is made up of people who are extremely successful. They are very inspiring. The likes of Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and Henry C. Sr. Now the challenge is you're not ever get to know them personally. If you do, please introduce me. But the good news is there are so many books and so many articles and so many movies available for you to learn about them. So very, very important. Who are your role models and your mentors in your life? Okay, so that was secret number one, hashtag never arrive. Let's get to secret number two. Hashtag I move my cheese. You know, one of my favorite books about leadership is Who Moved My Cheese? It's a very popular book. How many of you have read that book? There are quite a few people here, so you will relate to what I'm about to say. But it's a short story about how if you don't anticipate the change, how if you don't prepare for the change, if you don't adapt to the change, if you resist the change, you are at the risk of not only becoming irrelevant, but also extinct. The opposite is also true. that if you adapt to the change, if you prepare for the change, if you anticipate the change, and instead of resisting, if you become the catalyst for change, not only you will survive, but you will thrive in a changing environment. So how does this secret apply to us individually and collectively as an industry? Let me give you a couple of examples. How many of you are using BlackBerry as your primary smartphone device today? Anybody? You can raise your hand, don't be ashamed. Anybody here? Wow. We got close to 600 people in this room here and not a single person. You know what's so funny about this is that if I asked the same question 10 years ago in 2009, I would say most of you will raise your hands. Back then, BlackBerry was the device of choice. That's what we used for emailing and calling and for chatting on the BlackBerry Messenger. It was so popular and it was so addictive, we used to fondly call what? What did we used to call it? Crackberry. So what happened to BlackBerry? BlackBerry did not anticipate the changes taking place in the industry. It did not realize that people would want to use their phone not just for emailing and calling and chatting, but also for browsing internet, for consuming media, watching videos, listening to music, taking selfies and toofies and roofies. It resisted this change, and guess what happened? Companies like Apple and Samsung not only moved BlackBerry's cheese, they ate it. Back in 2009, at the height of its success, BlackBerry had a market share of 25%, more than any other competitors in the world. Today, BlackBerry's market share is close to 0.0%. Let me give you another example. How many of you are using a camera today that requires this here? Anybody? We got one person right in the middle. We need to probably welcome him to the century. But I know there is a retroactive films coming in the market and people are flocking to it. But it's a trend. If you look at the world today, you would hardly find people who are using it. If I were to ask you the same question differently, how many of you used a camera in the past that required this film? Quite a few millennials here who have done the same thing. You see, Kodak was one of the most iconic brands of the last century. You know, at its height of success in 1996, Kodak had a market share of 66% globally. That means every 2 out of 3 films sold globally were Kodak films. So what happened to Kodak? Kodak also did not anticipate the changes taking place in its industry. It did not realize that the world was shifting from analog to digital. And guess what happened? Companies like Fuji and Sony and Canon not only moved its cheese, but they actually ate it. One of the most iconic brands of last century, Kodak, unfortunately, filed for bankruptcy in 2012. It almost became irrelevant. It almost became extinct. So what is the biggest lesson from this example for our industry? The biggest lesson is this. For both Kodak and BlackBerry, their downfall started when they were at the height of their success, when they had the biggest market share in the world. when they were the most iconic brand within their category. Let me ask you this about our industry. Which country has become the destination of choice for contact center industry for the last 8 years in a row? Does anybody know? Philippines, that's right. We beat India in 2011, and since then, we have been the number one destination of choice for contact center industry. We are at the height of our success. Let me ask you this. Do you think what has made us successful in the past will continue to make us successful in the future? Who thinks that? Does anybody think that? Absolutely not. Just like the world around Kodak and BlackBerry was changing, the world around our industry is also changing and changing dramatically. And we have to ask ourselves, if the world around us is changing, are we also changing? How can you put this secret to work for you in your life? I will leave you with 3 takeaways to make sure that you don't become irrelevant, you don't become extinct in your career. The first takeaway is accept the fact that the world is changing. You see, we spend so much of our time, effort, energy in denying the fact that the world around us is changing. But the moment you accept that your world is changing, you can channelize that energy, that effort, that time into adapting to the change, into using that change to your advantage in your career. So number one, don't be in the denial stage. Accept the fact that your world, as we speak now, is changing. The second takeaway is anticipate the change and how it will impact you in your life. How do you anticipate the change? Well, there are a few things you can do. Number one, keep attending these industry events organized by CCAP. It's very serious, right? That's the best way to keep up with what's happening in the industry. They cover some of the most relevant topics on a regular basis. The second thing you can do is when you're talking to your bosses at your organizations, ask them, how are they future-proofing your company? How are they going to upskill you, uptrain you to make sure that you don't become irrelevant, that you don't become extinct in the future? And the third thing you can do is make Google your best friend. Not now, please don't start doing that. But if you were to just Google the trends in the customer service industry, or the future of the customer service industry, or the future of customer service technology, you'll come across dozens of articles that will tell you where the industry is going, that will tell you how it may potentially impact your job. And the third thing you can do is very personal. It has nothing to do with your job, but it's an important skill that you should cultivate. The third takeaway for you is walk to the edge of your comfort zone and expand it. You see, as human beings, we like to be right in the middle, right in the center of our comfort zone. And when we encounter change, we don't like it because it forces us to take the walk from the very center of our comfort zone to the edge of our comfort zone. That walk is the most painful part of dealing with change. But what if you make a habit of walking to the edge of your comfort zone? How do you do that? One of the most effective ways of making this a habit is by taking on your worst fears. You see, when you are facing your fears, it's the same thing. You have to be at the edge of your comfort zone. So ask yourself whether you have a fear of height, fear of spiders, insects, fear of talking to strangers. Start taking those fears head on. I'll give you a personal example. All my life, I've had a biggest fear of deep water and drowning. So a few years ago, I forced myself to learn how to swim. Then I forced myself to learn how to free dive. Earlier this year, I forced myself to learn and get certified in scuba diving. And most recently, I forced myself to do something that I've been avoiding since the beginning of this year. I did my first night dive. Now that's not me again. I see confused, perplexed people. But I knew I was at the edge of my comfort zone. I was 30 feet below the surface in the pitch dark water of Anilao, and I stayed there for 45 minutes. And I was so scared. I was holding my dive master's hand tightly. I've never done that before, and I'm not very proud of that. Please don't tell anybody else about it. But now that I have overcome the fear of deep water, I am getting ready to take on my second worst fear, the fear of snakes. The most important thing for you to ask is, what are the fears in your life and what are you doing about it? How are you going to start taking on your fears? How are you going to cultivate mental muscles to be calm, to be at ease, to be composed, even when you are dealing with an uncomfortable situation? Okay? That was our secret number 2. We are on to our last secret, and probably the most important secret. Hashtag Malasakit. What a beautiful word. Why is Malasakit one of the 3 secrets? Here's why. How far you will go in an organization will depend on how much value you create for that organization. How much value you create will depend on the size of the challenges that you will take on. The size of the challenges that you take on will depend on the quality of your team. And the quality of your team will depend on the amount of malasakit you infuse into your organization. You see, if you genuinely care about your employees, if you get to know their personal stories and struggles, if you badge in as a servant leader day in, day out, if you show up in the hospital not only when your employees are sick, but also when their parents, their partners, their kids are sick, then the word about your malasakit will spread in the industry. And the best and the brightest this industry has to offer will want to come and work for you. And with a team like that, your performance, your metrics, your KPIs will consistently shine. Your bosses will start paying attention to what you are doing, what you are achieving. They will start giving you bigger and better responsibilities. And with those bigger and better responsibilities will come bigger and better paycheck. Folks, for the leaders, malasakit is not a beautiful word that needs to be posted on the walls with other values. It's a powerful potion that if you use it sincerely and from the deepest part of your heart, will turn you into an alchemist. everything that you touch will become gold. That is the power of Malasaki, and that is why it's one of the 3 secrets. That brings me to the end of my presentation. I genuinely believe that the time is ready for you to shine. The industry is ready for you to shine. The country is ready for you to shine. The question is, are you ready to shine? Thank you. Maraming